Or in this video, we're solving equations that have rational expressions in them. So when we're looking at question A, what we want to do first is to find the least common denominator for the entire equation. So when we look at all of those fractions, what's the common denominator that we can use? Well, least common denominator in this case would just be a representative of each factor that we have. So 3x plus 1 times x minus 2, for example. And then if we had those to any particular power, we would look for the largest power that we have for any one of those factors. But they're all to the first power, so we're just going to leave it as 3x plus 1 times x minus 2. And since all the denominators are factored, that's really all there is there. If we multiply every fraction by that LCD, we'll be able to clear the fractions and have an equation that's free of rational expressions. All right, so let's go ahead and try to do that. So I'm simply going to rewrite the equation and put the LCD in the numerator of each fraction. So I'm going to leave a little space in each numerator so I can put the LCD in there. And here goes the LCD, 3x plus 1, x minus 2, 3x plus 1, x minus 2, and finally 3x plus 1 and x minus 2. All right, now let's cancel anything that can be canceled out for each fraction. So 3x plus 1 will cancel with the 3x plus 1, leaving you negative 2 times x minus 2. And we'll have x minus 2 canceling with x minus 2. And then in this last one, everything cancels out, right? So we can cancel both 3x plus 1 and the x minus 2. So we'll rewrite that then as negative 2 times x minus 2 plus 5 times 3x plus 1 is equal to just 1. So look how nice the equation is now. It has no fractions, right? Our next step is to now simplify. So we're going to distribute and combine like terms. So we'll have negative 2x, because that times that is negative 2x. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is going to give you positive 4. Then we'll have plus 5 times 3 is 15x. And then 5 times 1 is just plus 5, and that will be equal to 1. Now we want to combine like terms. So negative 2x and 15x will give you a total of 13x. And then the 4 and the 5 add to 9. And that will all be equal to 1. Now from there, it's just a simple equation to solve. We'll subtract 9 from both sides, and now applying the addition property of equality, we'll end up having the 9's cancel out, and we'll get negative 8 over here. And then we'll have 13x is equal to negative 8. So 13 is multiplied by the x, so we have to undo that by using division. So we'll divide by 13 both sides. And we'll end up having x is equal to negative 8 over 13. So x is equal to negative 8 divided by 13. That can't be reduced, so that's your solution. All right, let's take a look at equation B. We have the same sort of situation, but we have to factor the denominators first here because you can't see what makes up those denominators. So we need to factor it first so that we can see what the denominator is composed of. So the first fraction can be factored. I'll pull out a greatest common factor of x, leaving me x plus 2. Then we have minus, the numerator is x plus 4. The second fraction will pull out another greatest common factor of x, giving you x minus 1. And then lastly, we need to factor this trinomial in the denominator of the last fraction. So I'll draw 2 parentheses, split up the x squared here as x and x. The 2 has to be split up as 2 and 1, of course. And then from there, we'll just say the sign here requires that we have a sign of each. And we want the larger sign to be positive, or we want the larger number to have a positive sign, I should say. So we'll make it plus 2 and minus 1. All right, so that looks like we have fully factored the denominators. Now, let's get our LCD. So the LCD for this problem, remember we take a representative of each kind of factor we have. So we'll choose x, we'll choose x minus 1, x plus 2, and it looks like that's all we have, right? Those are the only factors we have. They're all to the first power, so we just leave it to the first power, and that's your LCD. Now you want to rewrite your equation, leaving space in the numerator so you can fill in this LCD in each numerator. Okay, so we'll have x plus 1, give some space for that LCD, and then you'll have x times x plus 2 in the denominator, minus x plus 4, again, give yourself some space, and you'll have in the denominator x times x minus 1. Then equals 2. It'll be negative 5, again giving yourself some space. It'll be x plus 2 times x minus 1 in the denominator. Okay, so I've just rewritten the equation here so we have space in the numerator to put that LCD there into every numerator. Okay, so I'm just going to squeeze in the LCD for each numerator. And let's go ahead and cancel now, the fun part, right? So x cancels with x plus 2 cancels with x plus 2. Then we'll have x canceling with x minus 1 canceling with x minus 1. And in this last one, we have x plus 2, x minus 1, and x minus 1 canceling. All right, now let's rewrite the equation. So it looks like all we have left standing in the first fraction is x plus 1 times x minus 1. And then for the second fraction, we have a minus sign, and then we have x plus 4 times x plus 2. And then we have just minus 5x for the last term. All right, now from here, we're going to go ahead and simplify by distributing and combining like terms. So we'll go ahead and do x times x to give us x squared. Then we'll just have 1 times negative 1, just going to give you negative 1. The reason why I'm not doing the full foiling there is because I recognize that that's a difference of squares product. So remember, you want to learn to save time by recognizing the pattern so you don't have to do the full foiling process. All right, then we're going to have negative. Put a big parenthesis to start this so you don't forget to distribute the negative at the end. And you'll have x times x, which is x squared. Then x times 2, which is going to give you positive 2x. Then 4 times x, which is going to give you plus 4x. And then finally 4 times 2, which gives you positive 8. And that'll be equal to negative 5x. Now, from here, what you want to do is distribute in this negative sign out in front to rewrite that with different signs. So we'll have x squared minus 1 minus x squared. Then you'll have negative 2x. Then negative 4x. And finally, negative 8. That's equal to negative 5x. Okay, from here you want to combine like terms now. So go ahead and say that the x squared cancels with the negative x squared. We're going to have here minus 6x. Then we have negative 1 and negative 8 is going to give you negative 9. And all of that's equal to negative 5x on the other side. So let's move the negative 6x to the other side by adding 6x to both sides. And when you do that, you'll get the negative 6x to cancel with the positive 6x. Over on the other side, you'll have just 1x, and then you'll have negative 9 here. Okay, so when you're done, you end up with the answer, x is equal to negative 9. And that's it.